think I'm going to start the session right here. So we had the pre-session, which we'll post separately. There's some good conversation that we captured about Avengers movies and wine, and so yeah, when last we got together, as discussed in the recap, you guys lost a party member, went through his memorial services. Branson Weathers is now a permanent resident of Lesser Edale. The service given by the vicar, who you helped to confirm that all of his suspicions about the veins all along had been true, and that some folklore is not complete BS. So you've returned to London on an afternoon train. You're just stepping out onto the platform, headed to the office of the Scoop, hoping to catch Mickey Mahoney and probably give, you've been conversing back and forth in Telegram over the last few days, keeping him posted as to what's been going on.
How many days have passed? We were chasing Eloise on Thursday, February 27th, 1925.
I think, what do you guys think? For funerary arrangements, it's a small town, so probably a couple days there maybe, at most. Because Lesser Edale is not blessed with a proper facility for dealing with the dead, so you kind of have to get them in the ground quickly.
Some early March at this point.
Yeah. So let's say in total, 5 days. You return in London, or return to London after those 5 days. So you hire a car.
March 4th?
On March 4th. What day of the week is that?
March 4th. Come on, tell me what day of the week it is. March 4th. It was... Don't do that, you stupid website.
Would you like me to find out? What was the date? What's the year again? March 4th?
3/4/1923.
1925.
25. Oh my god, I've been 2 years off the whole time.
You've been living in the past. It's a Wednesday.
Yep, just found it.
Yeah. Some interesting things. Let's talk about the March 4th, which Wikipedia is pretty good with that as well. So the second inauguration of Calvin Coolidge took place today. So that's going on. It's advertised in the papers, of course, as you're walking along. You know, the British kid standing on the corner. Extradition! Bloody Americans reconfirm! Calvin Coolidge!
It was broadcast live on 21 radio stations.
Yeah.
And Swains Island near American Samoa was annexed by the U.S.
And the famous French orchestra leader, Paul Marriott, I believe that's how you pronounce that, was born this day.
But we wouldn't know that because he's not famous yet.
No, exactly. No, you would sense it, man. You would sense that something important happened in the music world.
But James Montgomery Ward, an American baseball player, died.
Ooh. And a 70-year-old Polish composer, Moritz Moskowitz, has passed on as well. It's a shame. James Ward, who was a philosopher and psychologist. And, whoa.
Not sure.
And John Montgomery Ward also died. I wonder if they were related. So you're pondering that, of course, as you read through the evening edition in the car. You crumple that together and get out at the Scoop building. What do you do once at the Scoop building on this fine Wednesday at about 5:30 local time? The building is there before you. The doorman is no longer there. He calls it quits at 5, as do
I was
most.
say, they even open?
You don't know. The building may be open because, as you'll remember, it's sort of a multi-office kind of building.
Triangle in.
You walk in, the smell of oiled wood and brass is fairly strong in the lobby as you kind of come walking in. There's cigarette smoke, of course, kind of hanging in the air in here. A man walks past you with his coat kind of wrapping his scarf around his neck, as it is pretty cold in the UK at this time of year. Have a good evening then? You walk past. He puts his hat on and steps out into the chill air. It's warm for you in here. You make your way to the elevator and head to the floor that the scoop is on. Stepping out into the lobby after a short elevator ride, you notice a few doors with frosted windows on them, and some of the walls actually have frosted cutouts where you can see into the office suite. You can see the stylized letters of the scoop emblazoned on one of these doors. As you approach, you turn the handle to find that it is in fact unlocked. You'll remember that Mahoney is a workaholic, a heavy cigar smoking workaholic. And you step in. You can hear from kind of the back of the office. You notice the receptionist is not there. But you can hear, "Hello? Who's there then?" He calls out.
Yeah, evening, Mahoney. It's Walter and Joe.
You call out, "Ah, Walter and Joe, welcome back." You can hear some shuffling coming back from the direction of the office. "Come on back to my office then."
Oh, we'll make our way back there then.
You head back to his office. It's the very familiar large wooden desk with tons of papers, clippings, notes, all sorts of things going on. There's a large calendar-style diary open, and he's been writing in it, apparently, feverishly. He stands and straightens his vest. He's got a pocket watch, clearly indicated by the chain going from the button to his pocket. "Oh heavens, I wasn't sure you'd make it back. So sorry to hear about Branson.
Thank you.
He was a good man. So I've already published what you told me. I believe I owe you a few pounds sterling, don't I?" he says.
I hope it sells a few issues.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Sad thing is, it's hard to tell the truth from lies these days. They don't realize that so much of what I publish is fact. It's like peeling back a veil. You look behind it, some strange things are going on. He opens a strong box with a key that you notice he keeps in his pocket, attached to his pocket watch, basically. He kind of pops open the strong box and counts out, I believe it was £75 that he offered you for any sort of major leads, major stories, as it were. I believe that'll just about settle things up. So if I'm counting right, you've looked into 2 of those clippings, and at the end of each of those journeys there was some pretty heavy stories.
Yeah.
You going after the 3rd?
I'm not sure if this is a way streak or if we should.
I know what you mean. Truly, I don't know that the story was worth his life.
Oh, yeah. So what was the last one? Was the slaughter of...
Yeah, it was the Egyptian murders.
Yeah.
They've been going on forever. I thought of looking into that myself, but we're not really well liked over at Scotland Yard, he says. They've got some fairly impolite nicknames for our paper. You're thinking to yourself, it's almost like his ghost is standing over your shoulder. That would be right about where Weathers would say something completely inappropriate and badly timed.
Has anything more happened on this case since this article, or the last article?
Well, yeah. Did you not read the evening edition?
I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah. There was another one just yesterday. Sound floating in the water. Chest stabbed through. Right in the center. Just one, just like the others. It's so good, right?
That was perfectly timed.
dragged his body out of the waters, and of course, the first thing they're going to try to do is just call it a robbery gone wrong. Everybody knows something going on with something that's just going to continue until someone gets their head out of their arse, he says.
Have there been any clues that might indicate?
I'm sure Inspector Barrington can tell you. If he'd come out of hiding, he's just sitting around drinking his tea and scones, I guess.
Not leaving his home?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he goes to work every day. But how he drags his bloated conscience with him for not solving these murders sooner, I don't know. He says, lighting up a cigar and taking a deep kind of puff. You hear the crackle of the tobacco as he draws in deeply, and the room instantly starts to smell heavily of that sort of acrid smoke.
Has anybody talked to Barrington? Do you have any notes, maybe from any interviews with him, or?
Well, I don't have any notes, but I can tell you what I know.
Okay.
I know that they tried for a long time to claim that they were not related murders. I can tell you that Scotland Yard is confused. There was some mention of the murders being linked, and they've acknowledged that finally, and it's in all the papers. You can find plenty of stories there. But since they were all Egyptian related, he suggested, I think, that Barrington speak to the Penhew Foundation. You know, they're local, they're big into Egyptian stuff. You've been there. That was the place that you visited.
That's the place we
The kind of, you got that weird kind of strange feeling while you were there and all that.
It's connected with the whole
Carlisle.
Scotland Yard has become all but unresponsive to the papers, though. Whatever facts are emerging are things that we come up with out of our own investigations.
So you said they're all Egyptian related. How are they Egyptian related?
Well, so if you look at the facts behind the murders, there's this, and I'm going to have to look because I don't remember. Just 2 seconds. Where are they go? Yes, so basically, well, you're gonna have to, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Mickey actually doesn't know. He doesn't have the details of where that story emerged.
Okay.
Some of the details that came out when we were trying to investigate, there was a rumor on the street that these were all somehow linked back to some Egyptian cult. One of the reasons why I expect is your friend. When Elias was around asking questions, he was the one talking about it being some kind of Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh. Does that sound right?
Sounds
Have you heard of
familiar.
that from talking to him? He was on about it now and again, and I think that's why he was digging. So the first story we ran about it, we draw that in. I don't know that it's more broadly thought of than that, he says.
Who were the victims? Do you have any info on them?
There have been quite a number of them. Quite a number of them, in fact. Give me a, well, actually, see, give me a, no rolls. Last I checked, there's been a total of 17.
Two.
You have a sudden epiphany about the nature of the universe, but you're not ready to talk about it. It's too heavy. There's been a total of 17, I expect. So I guess maybe this most recent one will be 18, he says.
All stab in the chest, all washed up.
Exactly the same way. Well, I think they're found in different states. Barrington would no doubt have more information in Scotland Yard. Maybe you
Guess
want
we'll
to
talk to them.
give him a call in the morning.
Yeah.
If you can help me break this story, I'll definitely make it worth your while.
Fair enough.
Maybe then too, maybe your friend's death would be worth something then.
Would be
So what
nice
do you do?
to know he had not died in vain?
It would. It would. So he stands from his desk and turns to a back table where he has some bottles and takes a bottle of clearly expensive whiskey and pours a good 2 fingers for each of you. What are my manners? Let's toast your friend, he says.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You clink the glasses and almost there's a sort of meaning drawn up into that gesture, like you've got to sort this out, whatever it is. And Jackson Elias, now Weathers, maybe you or Walt next. You're kind of at a race, but you got to figure this one out before somebody else dies. What do you do?
Drink to Weathers.
You do. You take a deep pull of this whiskey. It's very strong. It's like fire in your throat. You think to yourself, Weathers probably would have grabbed the bottle and chugged, but it's delicious. Much better than the sort of questionable stuff that you were able to get back in Arkham from
And then I
Canada.
imagine we should probably find a place to stay for the night.
You do. You let's assume that you return to your room that you had for in London
Previously.
Yeah. I would assume that you kind of left some of your stuff there, right? Your stay in Lesser Edale was supposed to be somewhat brief.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you return. Of course, there's going to be a bit of a larger balance there, but you've got enough funds to take care of that. Which shouldn't be a major problem. Getting back to the hotel and sorting through things, you penning in your journal the things that have happened and your thoughts to date. The night goes without event. The following morning, there's quite a lot of noise. You had grown sort of accustomed to the quiet of Lesser Edale. The British countryside isn't very loud. There's not much to hear whatsoever, no matter the hour. But you wake up to the sound of London. Busy, loud London. What do you do?
I suppose we are going to go to Scotland Yard.
You suppose what?
Suppose we'll go to Scotland Yard.
Okay.
And either ask to see or make an appointment to see Inspector James Barrington.
Okay. You show up at the Scotland Yard. So you again take a cab over from the hotel, mentioning that you're going to Scotland Yard. The driver looks over his shoulders. So we'll get arrested then?
Yeah, something like that.
I visited the United States once. That is where you're from, right? I can tell by your accent. You can hear that of the engine kind of bumping along.
Yes, it is.
I about got arrested as well. Was it a bar fight? He says.
No, not really.
Well.
Was yours?
Yeah, it was quite a bar fight. I beat the living shit out of that. I did. Bloke didn't know what hit him. You're like, wow, it's the British Weathers. He drives. The rest of the cab ride is basically him asking somewhat intrusive questions because he's got this sort of xenophilia. He's like, wow, people from elsewhere. Let me ask all the cliche questions at once. Anyway, you arrive in front of Scotland Yard. It's a fairly imposing building. Seems kind of brick and big sort of stone facade. You get out. You see the metal name plate on the door as you approach. You're walking in, and it's interesting, all these British police officers coming and going on bicycles, where in the US there's a lot of beat cops, right? And horse-drawn, or not carriages, but horse-mounted officers. But you said just a lot of bicycles coming and going with their funny hats and their whistles and billy clubs. You walk up to the front desk. There, sitting at a desk, is a British man, probably an officer, wearing an officer's kind of basic uniform. Doesn't have his hat on. Afternoon, may I help you? No, I'm sorry, morning. Good morning, he says. It is morning. May I help you?
We're wondering if we can speak to Inspector James Barrington, please, or make an appointment if that would be more appropriate.
What is the reason for your visit?
We'd like to inquire into these so-called Egyptian murders.
He pauses for a second. Egyptian murders. Has someone been murdered, sir?
Yes.
Egyptian? So,
No.
act of racism?
No, the murder last night.
Right. I'm sorry. I don't work in the homicide department. So, so you wish to talk to the inspector to report a murder?
Sure.
give me a persuade roll.
6.
Well, he pauses for a moment at your sure, and one moment, and he flips through this ledger book, and it's clearly sort of an in and out kind of like who's going to be where among the more key members of the department.
There's 2 crazy Yanks here to see you, sir.
It does seem as if Inspector Barrington is here. I shall go get him.
Very good, thank you.
Please have a seat.
Of course.
He stands and straightens his uniform shirt and sort of pivots on his heel and walks off. Monty Python is yet to come, but you're thinking maybe this guy inspired something in that series. Goes through
Didn't I say we were here about
a swinging door. What were you saying?
Sam, as after he leaves.
Yeah.
Didn't I say we were here about the murder that happened last night?
He might think you're here to confess.
That would be fantastic. So, after about 3 minutes, that officer returns, holding the door open for another individual. This one's dressed in sort of a coat, as if he were maybe heading out. Beneath that is a very formal suit. Clearly not just a kind of a beat cop, in terms of his dress.
More like an
He
inspector.
walks out and yes, he's got this fantastic handlebar mustache that sort of curls, and this chin sort of sliver of hair that comes down to a point. He looks really debonair for the time.
Guy from Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, exactly. You notice also sort of hanging around his neck is a monocle as well. For when the investigation shit gets real serious, he can put that on. He walks out and, of course, stands very tall. You must be the visitors, he says.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, the officer did not give me the privilege of your name. I am Inspector Barrington, he says.
Joe Miller?
He nods with his body as he shakes your hand.
Walter Adler.
Walter Adler. Pleasure to meet you. Inspector Barrington. I'm told that you are here to report a murder.
Well, not exactly. We're here about the murder that happened last night.
So at that moment, the inspector turns and looks at the officer and kind of just gives him a disapproving look. That'll be quite enough, Officer Smith. So he walks over, goes back to his post. I'm sorry, it seems there was something lost in translation. My apologies. So there is no new murder then.
I certainly hope not.
Well, why don't we go someplace where we can sit down and talk?
Sure.
So he turns and walks, basically takes you down a hallway of these sort of frosted, almost like sort of panels of glass, sort of hutches over these cubicles. They're these, really ornately carved wooden cubicles. Goes down about 5 of those, and there's one such cubicle that he sits you down in. There's a desk and some wooden chairs. He stands politely waiting for you to sit. May I offer you a cup of tea?
Thank you. Of course. Thank you.
So he turns. There's something just so formal and polite about how the British behave, right? It's actually, compared to where you come from, it's refreshing for people to actually be nice to you regardless of the circumstance. He returns for a moment with a couple of cups of tea. English breakfast tea at that. You won't mind, of course, if I make some notes as we're talking?
I do not.
So what information do you have to offer on this murder? Did you know the individual, the victim?
We don't. Actually, we were hoping that we might be able to get a little information.
He pauses. He seems...
We have a friend that came to England some time ago and was looking into this, and came back home to the States and was killed shortly after. And everything
He stiffens.
found leads us to believe that he might have been killed for whatever he discovered here.
What, good sir, was your friend's name?
Elias Jackson.
He stiffens even more. Yes. Yes. We received a visit from Mr. Elias. It's most unfortunate, his demise. What?
Elias Jackson or Jackson Elias? Did I have it backwards?
It's Jackson Elias.
It's Jackson Elias.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He just assuming that you refer to him like a file folder. Mr. Simpson, Joe.
Yeah.
Miller. Why do I always keep calling you Simpson?
I have no idea.
I've done that for a long time. I don't know.
It's like the beer.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been, if we played on our regular schedule and did not have mishaps. Anyway, so he... so do you have further information to offer regarding these murders, or are you simply following up in your friend's wake?
We can share what we know, which unfortunately might not be related to these murders, but...
Well, that's a starting place at least. What do you know? He says, ready with his fact pad and his pencil.
As you may or may not know, Mr. Elias was fond of investigating real or supposed, depending on your take on it, occult activity. And activity in particular of cult organizations. And it appears that he was killed by a member of the cult of the Bloody Tongue.
I see. And what gives you reason to believe that this was a cult, an organized cult activity?
They were all wearing masks with a fake tongue appendage that matches
their unusual fashion sense.
Yes.
So you he doesn't crack the slightest smile. He's very somber. So you are asserting that you saw with your own eyes this murder?
Yes.
Yes.
And that they were cultists based on their dress, their mode of dress. I see.
And their actions, and one of them killed himself rather than let himself be caught.
How much more information, just kind of, because this could obviously, recounting the campaign so far could take some time, but how much information do you give this inspector overall?
I'd keep feeding him stuff until he looked like he objected to it or was not taking it seriously.
No, he's...
Might not share the more supernatural aspects of the investigation.
Yeah,
give me a psychology roll if you'd like to sort out what's
downplay
going
the killing.
on.
Downplay some of the killing.
Well, of course,
on
I'll
our
try, but 22 out of 10, I think, is the default.
Whatever I'm rolling against, I failed it.
All right.
It's 22 out of 10.
So remember, you have the opportunity, if you want, you can push general rolls like this, which gives you an opportunity to re-roll. But if you fail, something bad may happen. So if you feel like it's that important, you can always ask me to push. You can also spend luck.
What was I rolling against?
You are rolling against psychology.
Oh, I don't have that. None of us have that.
No. We just have the base.
Of course. Oh wait, I do have a little bit of that.
I was gonna say, I thought you bumped it.
Yeah,
up.
you generally have like a little slice. It's
Well, I can have the
little
fumble,
slice.
or I can try again. So I'll push it. If it's gonna fail, I want it to fail awesomely. 29 out of 15.
Okay. Well, having failed the push roll, you reach a point where you can definitely sense that something has upset the inspector. you don't know what it is, and you're not sure what it is exactly that he's reacting to, but he all but shuts down as a result of...
I probably would have drifted off into being blunt because I'm a little angry at all this.
Yes, fair. Yes, exactly. Your blunt American manner is clearly off-putting, and damned ungrateful colonists, he's thinking to himself. So anyway, the conversation drifts a bit. What do you try to get out of the exchange with the inspector? Are you trying to inform, or are you trying to get...
Trying to share. Because people are more likely to share if you're going to share with them.
Yes. So I'll go ahead and let you have a persuade roll, and I won't penalize you for Walt's bluntness, but I won't give you the bonus that I would have given you for all of the sharing that you've done. So let's have a persuade roll.
41 out of 67.
Nice. So that is not quite half, but
no.
He seems to be somewhat open. So I'm going to let you have, without further roll, 3 questions that could turn into discussions. What is the first question that you attempt to get answered there?
What connects all these victims together?
Well, largely the means of their death, he says. All are murdered by being stabbed through the heart, always through the heart. The stabbings are much the same in terms of the deliberate nature, as if the victim may have been restrained or unaware that the blow was coming. And the bodies largely are drained of blood. So, given the typical murders that occur in London, when such things do happen, of course, this stands out as a bit odd. Bodies are disposed of in various means, some in alleyways, some in the water, floating along the Thames most often. One, I believe, was uncovered when a horrible smell was found in the sewers, he says. So you could discuss the situation there a bit, the signs and why it is that they believe they're drained of blood, particularly since some of the bodies, of course, are found later, decomposed, eaten by rats in the alleys, things like that. What else do you ask? What else? Your second question that you're shooting for?
Do you have any potential suspects, any at all?
There have been some. Unfortunately, I must admit the leads have all proven to be well covered by alibis, eyewitnesses and such. We have very little to go on, and the toilet rags that are reporting on the issue, more sensational stories, of course, they only cloud the problem as, well, no offense meant, Walt, but there is quite a lot of crackpots telling stories about cults and other things, thanks to, may rest his soul, your friend.
Seems to be a popular mindset these days, the whole cult thing.
Yes, indeed. Mostly among Americans, he says, snidely, stiffening just a bit with a bit of British pride. What is your third question as you talk? Or objective? I'll let you go there. Walt thinks, punch him in the face.
That might not get a lot of information. And might get us instead thrown in a cell.
Well, it's probably one of the more benign endings for a character. Ending up in jail.
Let's start taking a look at your sanity. So after a time, you talk around. He says something like, "This case is elusive. It's getting to the point where it's becoming a bit of a career-threatening issue, really. I put my best men on it. I personally looked into it. We are now just one away from 20 victims," he says.
I thought there were only 18 victims up until, including last night.
I'm not sure where you would have gotten that. There are 19 now. And I would very much like to solve this before there is more bad press.
Perhaps we can help.
17 of these men were Egyptian nationals, and I've got world press now claiming racist slayings here in London. We leave that sort of mentality to the Americans. He stiffens again.
So if 17 were Egyptian nationals, that must be why the nickname Egyptian Murders. Who were the other two?
Well, there was quite another reason for that, in fact.
What's that?
A witness who came upon one of the victims after hearing quite a commotion claimed to have clearly heard the victim crying out the word Hotep.
It's an Egyptian god.
Do you happen to speak Egyptian? Or would you like to make a language roll to see if your trivial knowledge of languages will...
What does that start at?
that
starts at 1.
That starts at...
yeah, I was going to say...
EDU.
Language other starts at 1.
Yeah.
I did not roll a 1.
Give me a luck roll, if you would like to see if you can just, off the cuff, having maybe read in one of these.
2!
Wow, okay.
33 out of 26.
So you're feeling down on your luck, you know. You recognize this word, though. It comes from, as you were reading up on this expedition, you were just kind of poking around various Egyptian resources in the library. The word Hotep is actually a word meaning rest or peace. You say this out loud. It's a word meaning rest or peace, and the officer speaks up and says, "In fact, yes. Do you speak Egyptian?"
No, I must have read it somewhere recently.
Comic book.
Edward Gavigan was kind enough to confirm that.
At the Penhew Foundation.
The very same. He has been most helpful in providing us information about the Egyptian aspects of these crimes. So, how about another persuasion roll if you continue your questioning to see what he's willing to do for you?
Sure. 30 out of 67. Oh, that beats a half.
He's all but an open book, although still very guarded. Our investigations have included the Blue Pyramid Club in Soho. It's frequently visited by both resident and visiting Egyptian businessmen. It's quite the popular night spot. Many of the victims, we are told, are also frequenters of that place. We looked into it for some time and even had it placed under surveillance, but nothing of particular interest was gained. Ultimately, we had to pull those resources away for other things, since they were not yielding useful information. Numerous people were involved that had connections to Egypt. The vast majority of them had very little to offer, save for trivial knowledge of the goings-on. Although a spice dealer by the name of Zara Safik interested me very much. She once worked with the Penhew Foundation, you see.
What was her last name? Last name? Safik?
Right. When leveraging your friend's knowledge, Elias's knowledge, of this Black Pharaoh cult, she acknowledged, actually, that the cult did exist, which was a first, almost a breakthrough. But her perspective was that it didn't exist anymore. That it was a fairy tale at best these days. Something about her gave me the impression that there was something more to what she was saying. We actually had her tailed for a few days, and she spent a great amount of time at the Blue Pyramid as well. But I don't have the resources at my disposal at this point, because quite honestly, my superior officers are insinuating that, well, they are loose ends at best.
But you have no other leads to go on.
Well, quite right. Other than the dead themselves. Loosely connected, perhaps, just by being Egyptian, but certainly all roads seem to end at the Blue Pyramid.
Would you mind if we did a little investigating?
Why don't you give me a charm roll?
Well, yes, because I'm great at that. I like persuade better.
Well, let's see how charm works out for you first.
29 out of 18. That's why I don't like charm.
To be quite honest, this is a police matter. We have it quite under control. You very well poking around as Americans, you stand out a bit like a sore thumb. No offense intended, of course. And I can certainly not recommend that you get involved. I wouldn't want you to be the 20th victim after all.
Oh, that's fair.
Yet again, probably a milestone where Weathers would have said something horrible and make matters worse. Do you attempt to persuade him or push the roll, or actually I should say persuade?
I am going to try to persuade him.
Okay.
No, but you said you don't have the resources to continue looking into these particular angles, and sometimes somebody conspicuous might get enough attention to cause somebody to make a mistake.
You said you were a private investigator, didn't you?
I did not, but I am.
You didn't? You didn't give him your card or anything? You wouldn't have done that? I would assume since you told him so much. That was
well,
awesome.
actually, you're right. Since we were
Because
being open
you
with
do have
him,
that
yes,
business card.
we were being open with him. We told him we were looking into our friend's debt. That makes sense.
So,
yes,
with that comment, make your roll.
7 out of 67. That beats a quarter.
Normally, I would say that everything that you just said is poppycock. But I'm willing to trust the fact that you are investigators, I suppose. We must agree. No information that you uncover is to be shared with the press. I would be the first person to know any discovery.
Of course.
Understood?
Yes.
And at no point, he starts speaking more hushed tones. Because there is still, again, police office here, right? There's
and it's a cubicle, not an office.
At no point will you assert that you are working for Scotland Yard.
Well, you're not paying us, so that would be
or
true.
Conscripted by Scotland Yard, or affiliated in any way
suggested
beyond a casual visit with Scotland Yard.
You suggested we not look into it at all.
I did. We have an accord.
Agreed, yes.
He stands and stiffens, shakes your hand, as you stand, of course, and or do you leave him standing there?
No, let's stand.
Like a jackass. You just kick back. You are led back to the front of the building and out the door, basically. So, Scotland Yard is pretty legendary, right? Just having visited gives you sort of chills as an investigator. This is the place that investigated Jack the Ripper.
And whether we are officially affiliated with them or not, we are now affiliated with them.
Exactly. It's a new high point for your career.
Yes.
Where do you go now? So, interestingly, you have this new place, this Soho place, which you certainly have heard of. It's the place where you will find all the nightlife in London. Well, not all,
Really?
right, but the sort of most
It's one of the
happening
most popular
jazz scenes.
ones.
You have also been sort of just off of Oxford Street. You would know that, just sort of south of Oxford Street. Oxford Circus. There's an underground station there that you can take. What do you do?
It's still in the morning, isn't it?
Yep, it is. It is probably about getting on toward noon by the time you got over there and were seen and had your conversation.
I wonder if they're open for lunch.
Go check.
So you first need to ask around because you weren't given the address, right?
But if it's that popular a place, I'm sure we can find it easily.
Yeah. So you how do you go about finding out where it is? Ask a cabbie?
Do they have phone books?
Not really. This is still, I think, in the days where you say, "Hey, I'd like to talk to."
That's right.
Someone does the
Operator.
does the routering.
Yes.
Yes,
But a cabbie would know.
quite possibly. So let's somebody roll for the cabbie. Give him a bonus roll because it is not. Give him a bonus die.
35.
Yeah, I know right what that is. Awful early, is it now, isn't it? He says.
I don't know. Are they open for lunch?
I don't know. I've just driven by, dropped folks off here and there, but I'm not thinking so. It's not like a pub. It's a nightclub, you know.
That's what we've heard.
Yeah. So I mean, supposing you like to go down to Soho, there are other restaurants down that way.
Yeah, we'll head over there.
Sounds good.
Right then. Let's go. So you drive, and it's basically situated kind of right smack dab in the middle of Soho, between Oxford Circus and Piccadilly Circus, so between Shaftesbury Avenue and Oxford Street, basically. And you head that general direction. You are pulled up. You pull up to the curb. There's lots of kind of horse and foot traffic, just people going everywhere. As you've seen probably in the old films, everyone walked a lot faster back then too, and had nothing whatsoever to do with the film. It's just,
Well, there weren't as many people to get in their way.
so yeah, you're dropped off right in front of the Blue Pyramid Club. What do you? So the first thing that you notice is that it is on the upper floor, and there's. You all right?
Yeah, I dropped one of the dice.
It's on the upper
just had to
floor
find
of a building, beneath which are a greengrocer's shop and some other building of dubious purpose. You have no idea. It's just a brick-fronted building with some windows, and there's a door obviously leading into it. Could be a residential flat type thing, you don't know. So you're brought basically to the front. There is basically to the left of the greengrocer's shop, and sort of out in front of that, you've got these angled shelves with all kinds of vegetation, sort of lettuce and tomatoes, onions and potatoes, lots and lots of potatoes, carrots and root vegetables. To the left of that storefront, there is a door, one of these doors that probably leads to an internal stairway kind of thing. It's a very narrow sort of hall between buildings. And on the plaque there is the only indication that the Blue Pyramid Club is upstairs. What do you do?
See if they're open.
Okay. So you step into this hallway, and basically directly ahead of you is kind of like just sort of concrete walls, brick and such. You walk forward, and the stairway basically kind of have to make a bit of a U-turn and go back up this way. Right? So the stairway starts at the end of this hallway. There's also a lift there, which seems serviceable enough if you didn't want to take the stairs. So you go up by which?
Look at the list and see what floors it lists.
So it seems that there are only 2, and that corresponds with what you could see from outside.
No
So
invisible third floor.
right.
Or basements.
Yeah.
Go up the stairs.
Okay. So you take the stairs. The stairs echo a lot. You know, you pretty much wear dress shoes everywhere you go. And they're clip clop kind of thing. The wood soles of them kind of banging against the tile. It's that sort of subway tile too, real kind of slick, sort of institutional tile. You make your way to the top and around another corner where it seems that there's basically, if you follow the hallway straight ahead, it ends in a window that looks back out into the street. But in the middle of that hallway, there is a door which basically moves into the building, would allow entrance into the building. There are no signs there. First thing you notice is there is in fact like a slide plate at about eye level in the door. There's a potted plant there as well. Seems like they might be trying to dress things up. Give me a spot hidden roll.
18.
So you step back and
Definitely
you're kind
beats
of
a
looking
quarter.
at this doorway. You're just about to knock, and you notice carved into one of the bricks in the wall is a pyramid. And that's it. But it's
Is it
small.
blue? Is it blue?
It's not.
Sham.
It's the cream-colored pyramid in this case. You, what do? So you're there. The door again is a formidable wooden one.
You said it's just a little small pyramid in the wall? Is there anything
It's carved into the brick next to the door.
carved into the brick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a fairly deliberate carving. It's a very clean. It's not like someone was real like rough-handed. So it's clear that they had that carved there.
Okay.
Maybe it was blue at one time, but it seems to be just the inside of brick color, that sort of stone gray color that you get when you scrape away the brick.
Okay.
Powdered brick in there. That's all you really notice.
I don't think they're open for lunch.
No. It's not good.
Do you knock?
Yes.
Okay. You knock. Your knuckles, I mean, as hard as you rap on the door, really, you would expect a louder noise. It's a thick door, so it's like this kind of
Damned English oak.
English oak, exactly. Give me a luck roll. Let's see if luck prevails and there's someone here to answer.
66 out of 67.
So you knock, and no answer comes. How long do you stand and wait?
A few minutes.
Okay.
I don't know how big the place is. Might take a while to walk across the room.
You knock a few more times, and there is no answer.
I wait and look out the window, see what's going on.
Okay, so you sort of, you're kind of standing in front of the door, and you have to walk down to the end of the hallway and look out into the street.
Does the door have an exterior lock?
It does. You see Walt kind of walks away and is standing with his arms crossed looking out the window. Give me a spot hidden. Let's see if you see anything, and if so, what.
77 out of 89.
So you don't notice anything of
No one in black robes.
No, there are no cultists standing there staring up into the window or anything like that. But the thing you do notice is that the street seems busy. There's not a whole lot of people right here around these shops. It just seems, for whatever reason, that it's almost like a lack of wildlife in a haunted forest. It's just like kind of quiet, kind of oddly quiet. Just as you're having that thought, a guy kind of walks past. You're like, oh shit, maybe that was just my imagination.
I will go to wherever Walt is standing.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's home.
Huh.
Come back later, or should I try to?
What?
Maybe we should come back later.
Go to Lesser Ede and murder a family, and we come back to London and start a career of B&E crimes.
Would not be the first time we broke into someplace.
If it's possible, I'll look under the potted plant for a key.
Okay. You shuffle the potted plant around, and you do not find the key.
Okay.
But the potted plant is a very nice sort of leafy fern type thing. It's healthy, clearly well maintained.
You wanna open that door?
I don't know that that's a good idea. It might be better to come back later when they're actually open.
Got a kind of weird feeling that like no one's going to the businesses nearby this place. Like I wonder if they're legitimate businesses. They should be open at this hour. It was.
Let's go check them out then.
Yeah.
You're standing there staring out the window, and Walt, through this sort of hazy glass from directly across the road, you think you see a man standing there. He's dressed in a suit. The haze of the window obscures his features. He's white. You definitely can tell he's kind of pale. What do you do?
Like standing there looking.
Walt.
I'm sorry.
Is he looking like? Well, he's facing me. I saw it.
Smoking a cigarette. You see like a smoke.
I'll note his location and then make my way out.
Okay. You notice Walt staring out the window, kind of weird. Sort of. His focus is clearly directed at something, and then he kind of turns away.
There was someone standing out there. Seemed a little suspicious.
Let's go talk to her.
You look.
Yeah.
There's no one there. You don't see anybody.
I don't see him.
Well, let's get outside and see if he's still there.
Follow Walt outside.
Scramble down the stairs rather than waiting for the lift. Okay, you do. So you kind of move along, butting out your cigarettes, since of course everyone smoked habitually, so you stomp on the floor right there, haul ass down the stairs, burst out into the street. You're there, of course, next to that angled vegetable stand. There's a worker out there, dressed in an overall or an apron rather, placing new produce. You bust out and you clearly get his attention. So he goes, looking you over. You look up into that same window. You don't see anything. Nothing.
So what does the window belong to?
You don't know. It might be a residential building. You don't see any signs at the ground level. There is a door leading into the building.
Okay.
And then, a bunch of windows. It's kind of just one of these featureless brick buildings.
Is there anything visible in the windows that might indicate, somebody's got flower curtains on one window and plain curtains in another window?
Yeah, that's a good thought. So yeah, you do see a little bit of variation that doesn't look institutional. It looks maybe residential, except that window. There's really nothing. Seems like from here, you have to get into the room to tell. It seems empty. What do you do?
I'll head over there.
Yep.
That's some fresh broccoli then, says the guy.
Oh, we might be back for that.
Best in town.
Thank you.
Yet again, probably someplace where Weathers would have said something completely offensive. You head across the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go up to the third floor where that window was.
Yep,
second floor actually, because since it was straight across, it would be second floor.
Yeah, try to find whatever room, apartment, whatever corresponds to that.
Okay, you do. So you all ask, make your way into this, kind of building. It's got this real thick, and the smell of smoke and a little bit of mildew is strong right here by the door from the moisture and snow melting and all that kind of stuff. But you make your way further in, kind of up the stairs, back toward the street in a similarly decorated hallway. There are apartment numbers on doors as you pass them. These kind of metal plates with the apartment number emblazoned on them. You get to the apartment, which in this case would be 206. There's a door there. You rap at the door.
Give it a listen.
Okay, give me a listen roll.
76 out of 75. I'll use 1 point to get the success.
Joe, I don't think this is a good idea. you hear.
Continue listening. And indicate that I heard something in there.
Okay, you kind of put a finger up to make sure he stays quiet and listen closer. Nothing.
I'll move away from the door.
Okay, and you hear a creak as you're so tuned in. There's this creak behind you that sort of interrupts your listening, like a wood floorboard creaking. Kind of turn instinctively, and it's somebody in the apartment behind you.
Well, it is occupied. It was someone named Joe at the very least, so there's 2 people in there.
Should we knock?
What's the cover for if it's nonsense? We're Americans looking into our heritage here. Maybe we heard a relative lived here.
Sure.
All right.
Who knocks?
Who's the more charming of us?
I'm not charming.
I'll knock.
So you're standing there confused as to whether or not you should knock. You are looking like American buffoons as you sort out like which one's going to knock.
Perfect cover.
Talking about who's the most likely to be able to put one over on the local Brits. What do? Do you continue to stand there?
I'll knock on the door.
Okay, you just shake it off and
I get my notepad out and
okay. Get your notepad out.
Mm-hmm.
You knock a couple of times, waiting for a response. The door behind you opens.
I'll kind of stand around looking around like I'm bored.
Okay, so you're sort of looking at the decor, which really consists of just, you know, kind of old, like even the wallpaper here is darkened where the new electric lights are. It hasn't been replaced since the time when like gaslight was a thing. It's all kind of dark and weird. There's real dark green stripes with some, you know, strange fleur-de-lis and things like that. The door behind you opens after the second knock. You're not likely to be getting a response from there, says a voice from behind you.
Oh, lives here?
You turn, there's a man dressed in, he's got kind of a soiled white shirt. Looks like he might be a chef of some kind. It's that kind of, you know, chef shirt, the flap that they don't ever button all the way. Like, why do you have the flap?
It's decorative.
He's got, he clearly is getting ready for work, and he's got a towel in his hand, and he's drying off some kind of moisture. I was lived there for a month.
Oh.
Old lady died in there.
Oh no.
She's no relative of yours, was she? Americans, he says.
Yeah. We're here following.
Her name was Mrs. Bannister.
Oh no. She was the one that we're supposed to meet.
Oh, dreadfully sorry. Oh, she was so old. She hung on for so long.
How'd she die?
Some form of cancer, perhaps. Had a dreadful cough.
Oh dear. Was there a funeral?
There was. I'm at a loss as to when. It's probably a couple of days after she passed.
Oh.
We weren't close. I did look after her, you know, when I was around.
Oh, okay. I'll have to track down her friends then.
She's seen it all. She still loved to dance as well. Would you believe it? At almost 90 years old, she would still dance when she heard the jazz.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Wonderful soul. So sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. But do you know if she had any friends or family that we could talk to?
I wouldn't know. All of her belongings were taken out of there. Probably sold off in probate or moved off to a relative or something. The apartment's quite empty.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Sorry for the bother.
No bother at all. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And leave.
Yeah, you. What the hell?
Once we're outside.
Yeah.
So someone's in there, and it's not a 90-year-old woman.
Well, we could go break in.
See, wait around for the chef to leave. Looks like he was on his way out.
Sure.
Wouldn't want to be seen by him again.
That's Walt. Walt's not looking the best. Walt looks tired. You wait.
Tired of everyone's shit.
Do you? What do you do?
Wait for the chef to leave.
All right, you wait a little
like
while.
He was getting
yeah,
ready
it does.
to go.
And So this would have been morning still, right?
Or see if Walt sees the guy he saw watching us leave.
Evening. So he's heading off for the evening shift. And you
probably shortly after
find
lunch
a
for
coffee shop around the corner and sit there and wait a reasonable amount of time. You within sort of it's a bit of a long shot, but you do see someone dressed in mostly white step out and leave. So it's probably him. You head back to the apartment building and make your way back up to that same place, I guess. Trying to be discreet. Now the fantastic thing is there's no such thing as CCTV in the 20s, so no one's watching you that isn't right there watching you.
Right.
You arrive at the door, apartment 206.
Give it another listen.
Okay, you do.
50.
Give me also a sanity roll.
18 out of 34.
There's nothing. There's a slight, like a tap that you hear every so often. That's about it. It's very quiet.
Try the handle.
Try the handle. It's locked.
Give it a shot.
I try to unlock it.
Okay. You reach into your pocket and pull out your lock picks, unroll the leather case that they're in.
Keep an eye out.
Get down on your one knee and give it a go.
17 out of 29.
Wow. Okay. So the fantastic thing about these old buildings is they have old lock hardware, and so it's a breeze. You put your picks in and shift them around, and then find the tumbler you need to turn, and you hear it click, and the door literally, just from the weight of the door and having been hung a bit crookedly, opens about that much. What do you do?
Go inside.
You step in to a one room, sort of one major room, right? Though you'd have sort of the sitting area and all that, eating area all in one. The small kitchen and probably a bedroom. It's completely empty. There's nothing in here. Hardwood floors showing years and years and years of use. In some cases, they're actually starting to kind of warp where heavier things were left for long periods of time, couches and things.
Close the door behind us as we enter, just in case.
Okay.
And draw my firearm.
Okay. You pull out your weapon. Step in toward the bedroom. The bedroom's a bit darker. There's no window there. At least not a large enough one to cast as much light as is on this side of the door. What do? You open the door?
Yes.
You reach forward and push the door open, and it too makes a horrendous creak, like someone really needs to invest in some grease, and it's empty too. You can tell where there was, in fact, a rug. The hardwood floor is different in color substantially. You can almost tell how the room was laid out for that. There's a little sort of like a vanity area that's discolored. There's the bed area that's discolored. It smells like mothballs, like old ladies still in here. But
is there a bathroom?
yes, there is in fact a bathroom.
Check the bathroom.
You step in. It's a very small bathroom. There's a pedestal sink, a toilet, and a clawed tub with a shower. Of course, it's hanging one of those sort of circular shower curtains. The shower curtain is about all that's left in here that could be removed.
Check the tub, make sure nobody's hiding in it if the curtain's closed.
You reach out, snatch the curtain aside. There's nothing. There's a stain around the drain.
Any closets or anything else?
No. It looks like that would have been a
search of
wardrobe.
the empty apartment.
You have done a thorough search of the empty apartment, and you find nothing. Nothing that would account for a person being here. No cigarette ash by the window. You're in
The place has been
disbelief.
vacant for a month, so there should be dust. Any
Oh, yeah.
footprints other than ours?
Give me a spot hidden roll as you search.
44 beats a half.
You reconstruct your entire stay here and look around for any sign of any other movement, and there's none by the window. And there is quite a lot of dust by the window from having come in from outside and things. The only thing you do notice is that the window is cracked just a teeny bit, which is where the kind of clicking sound is coming from. The wind creates a draft and makes the wood kind of creak here and there.
So the second of the 2 scores next to our skills, are they like 20% instead of a quarter?
Yeah.
It's a
Oh, it's a fifth. Okay. I've been saying a quarter, so I didn't
Yeah.
realize that, but I just noticed the math.
It's half, yeah. He pauses. he glitches out for a second, and now he's back. So there's
no
sign.
indication that anybody else has been here.
You would literally bet your career that there's not been anyone standing here for a month, easily.
Are you sure you saw somebody in this window?
I thought I did.
You look across, right? You look out as you say that, and you're looking right into the same window, into that same stairway hallway. That's definitely the same window. This music's amazing.
I know, the timing of it is really good.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's been here since the old lady.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Let's get out of here.
But you said you heard 2 people in here.
I thought I did, but it's an old building. Weird acoustics, maybe?
Maybe.
You leave. You get a little bit of a chill as you look back over your shoulder and shut the door behind you. No one's out in the hallway to see you coming or going, and it's quiet enough of a building where, no one seems to really care.
Since the apartment is completely empty, I am not going to try to risk relocking the door and being discovered doing so.
Okay, you leave it unlocked.
Yeah, we'll close it, but leave it unlocked.
We could come back here and use it to watch the place if necessary.
Fair.
That's a good idea.
Fair point.
We'll bring some oil.
So if nothing, if nothing else, you definitely set yourself up with a good watch post.
Good observation post.
Step back out into the street. You do get a little bit of a curious look now from the greengrocer, who has just apparently finished his display. He kind of looks over his shoulder, looks you up and down a little bit. Doesn't visibly shrug, but clearly just is like,
I'll buy a couple apples or something from him.
You go over and buy some apples. You walk across the street. He turns at first, like he's going to dismiss you, and then he, out of the corner
That was
of
the
his
broccoli
eye,
guy, right?
yeah,
Okay.
sees you come walking across, and you inquire about. He's very happy to show you his produce. So you give him basically a nickel, and you get a small bag of apples. Fairly shiny, and what do you do after purchasing your fruit?
Hey, could you tell us a little bit about this Blue Pyramid Club that's upstairs? It's supposed to be a happening place, right?
You need a charm roll. Let's see what he thinks of you, American.
Hopefully he was shit. 92. Out of 16 or something like that.
Well, if you
Out of
be
18.
honest, it's a bunch of Egyptians up there.
All Egyptians?
Scourge of the Empire, they are.
They cause a lot of trouble?
Well, no more than you did. I mean, not you personally, right? Yeah, I mean, they're just loud jazz music. People coming and going. I don't know why they're just infiltrating our neighborhood. This is once a proper neighborhood.
But not since they got here.
I don't think so, he says. Clearly having some sort of a nationalist and or, racial bias or something horrible.
Do they occupy the whole building?
No, just up there on the second floor. I don't know who's the rest of the building. There's a couple of residents up in there that come down and shop frequently. Other than that, I couldn't tell you, he says.
Oh, well, thank you. And for the apples.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I say 5 cents. It was 5 pence. Sorry. He tips his flat cap to you, and off you go. He's got a bit of a carpet of a mustache, like he could stand to talk to the inspector and get some grooming advice.
Well, we can go talk to the people at the Penhew Foundation again and see if they have anything to offer, or we could try to track down the spice dealer, or come back here when they open.
Where would the spice dealer be?
I didn't ask.
If you're thinking, oops, investigation fail.
Let's go to the Penhew Foundation.
All right. They might know where the spice dealer is. She used to work for them.
Yeah.
You head over to the Penhew Foundation.
Yep.
So you know where this
Zara
is.
Safik.
Looking for Zahara Safik.
Well, just talking to them in general, see if...
You take a cab across town or a train across town, however you prefer. You've spent quite a lot of money on cabs. You should probably learn the train system to be able to get around.
That might be a good idea.
Again, the Penhew Foundation itself is basically a gallery and a society for Egyptian studies. So there are all manner of resources available here if one has the clout to gain access to them. You were given a tour, if you remember, on your first visit by Mr. Gavigan.
Yes.
And you were able to sort of look at the, see the display of various things found from all these excursions into tombs and such. So you do arrive. What do you do when you arrive at the front door? You'll remember that there were big stairs there. The front of this building has those sort of almost big Greek-style columns. You walk up to the doors, two big wooden doors opening into a fairly grand entrance for something like this. There's a desk there with a receptionist. There's also around the exterior of the property, there's a tall wrought iron fence on a low wall. Mm-hmm. Hanging on that is the Penhew Foundation. Supposedly they are open Monday through Friday, and as you walk in, today's still, I think, Wednesday? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or the next morning. No, it would be Thursday, wouldn't it? Yeah, because you went the next morning. So it would be Thursday.
That's correct.
And there is, in fact, an administrator there, and a doorman on duty as well as you approach. The door is open for you. Morning, sirs.
Morning.
You walk in. The decor in here is very lavish. You'll recall the dark woods are adorned with all kinds of paintings of Egyptian scenes, some trivial bric-a-brac that was brought back with pottery and things like that, and glass boxes here and there. Really feels almost like you're stepping in, you've got a portal into a different world from here. You know that the collection itself is open for viewing from noon to 4. And typically that's well guarded. There are some actual hired guards in the exhibit hall.
We had contacted... Where's my note for that? Before that, we had contacted the Carlisle family attorney. I'd have to go back and find his name. But we had contacted the attorney to see if he would give us permission to get information from Gavigan. Did we ever hear back on that?
What? I'm sorry, what was your...
When we first went to the Penhew Foundation, Gavigan said he wasn't comfortable giving out any personal information without the family's approval. So we had reached out to the Carlisle family attorney to see if he would send a letter granting us permission to look into the investigation. Or into the expedition.
Waiting for him to send a letter to you, or was that going directly to the Penhew Foundation?
I did not record that, so...
Let's assume it was going directly to the Penhew Foundation.
Okay.
You did, in fact, hear that a letter was sent. You would have received a telegram to that effect in your inbox in London when arriving. That would have been among the miscellany that showed up in there when you returned a couple days ago.
Okay, cool. Then we'll see if we can speak to Gavigan again. Mm-hmm. At the very least, we can see if what he's willing to divulge. At the very least, we can ask him what he knows about the Pyramid Club.
Okay.
Blue Pyramid Club.
So, you arrive, and the administrator there at the desk, again, she's a very bookish young woman, though pretty, just very plain and very, very determined in demeanor. As you approach, she looks up. And welcome back.
Thank you.
Was she one of the ones that liked me?
Yes, she was. In fact, she was flustered by your debonair.
American manliness.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. The Murica.
Well, that wasn't a thing yet.
So good to see you back so soon, she says, with a slight, very plain but still pretty smile.
Good evening, miss. I don't know if I wrote their name down.
Give me a no roll, just a real quick ED roll.
28. Less than, or more than 28. Way more than 28.
Sims. You remember
Miss
her name?
Sims.
Oh, she seems pleased that you remembered her name. It's also on the nameplate. Her first name is Virginia, but it's kind of behind a plant, so you give yourself credit for remembering, and you didn't have to glance down, and she seems to have noticed that. Come back to spend some more time in the gallery, I assume, she says.
We'd like to make an appointment or speak with Gavigan if he's available.
I see. I don't know that that's going to be possible, she says.
Oh, he's busy?
He's always busy. What's the matter that you wish to discuss? Perhaps I can see if he has any spots in his diary.
Well, we were waiting for a telegram to reach him to grant permission for us to get some information.
Oh, I see. It's a matter of official business then.
Yes.
I see. Do forgive me. Walter, wasn't it? You are
Joe Miller.
Joe.
Yes, ma'am.
And your last name, Walter? She says with the kind of sweetening as she turns to
Adler.
She lays it down. Excellent. If you'll wait just a moment, please make yourselves at home. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
She stands. You go and
She likes you.
Pace around the lobby area there. There's some comfortable seating and some not so comfortable seating. She makes her way into the back, those kind of swinging doors, where offices were, as you recall. She does come back about 10 minutes later. I am so sorry for the wait. Mr. Gavigan is not available. It does seem as if he received your telegram, and he asked that I extend his apologies, but he has some more urgent matters to attend to. If you wouldn't mind, where are you staying? She kind of smiles. He mentioned that he would send word with an available time as it becomes available.
We have a room at whatever the place is.
You tell him the hotel and the room that you're staying at. She writes that down as well. That's wonderful. It's a nice hotel, she says, again smiling. So I will deliver this to him. In the meanwhile, you are welcome, of course, to peruse the collection. You'll remember that you actually became members in order to see some of this. You did. So you've been given a little typed up card with your names on it. A hand signature of Mr. Gavigan.
You know, maybe you can help us with something else. Being that this place is very much about Egyptian culture and such, there's a club here in town, the Blue Pyramid Club, that seems to be all the rage. Would you happen to know anything about it?
Oh, I have heard the name. It's not quite the academic sort of institution, I'm afraid.
No, but I hear it's frequented by a lot of Egyptian nationals, so I didn't know if maybe you guys might have heard word of it or something.
It's the saying, birds of a feather, right?
Right, exactly.
It's a cultural center for them, it seems, and a night spot as well. One of our old employees, actually. I used to go there and talk very highly of it. Yes, she says.
Old employee, they no longer work here?
No, actually. Zara was her name. It's quite a fantastic success story, actually. She once worked here, but then has gone on to open her own store. Her very own.
Really?
Yes, of course. It's very difficult for a woman to do that, even in London.
Yes.
What is her enterprise?
Well, she deals in rare spices. It's always been a passion of hers, actually, she says.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well, if she could tell us more about the club, maybe we should look her up. Do you know where her store's at?
I do, actually. The place is called Empire Spices. It's over in Soho. I'm probably not far away from the club that you're talking about, actually. Couldn't be more than a few blocks. I've not been. My taste for spices is limited to salt and pepper. She says, glancing at your salt and pepper gray that's starting to peek into your hair.
As my sanity withers away, my hair gets worse.
What do you do? You pull out your laptop and type some notes?
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, now I have my notepad.
You're scrawling on your
Empire
notepad.
Spices, I believe it was.
Yes. Do you have interest in spices as well? I'm told she has all manner of extremely rare spices from around the world.
Might be interesting to learn more about them.
Sounds like something that would be above my pay.
She kind of laughs. I know that feeling for certain. And then
Suddenly ominous.
so you have your exchange. Do you go and visit the gallery again? Do you poke around? Do you leave after saying that you were here to visit the gallery?
I'll poke around for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go look in the gallery.
Okay.
See if we can find anything else about the Black Pharaoh that we didn't find before, since this might be related to a cult.
Okay. Well, the first thing that you remember, obviously, going on the second floor, the top floor, which is the second floor. I'm sorry. The gallery is basically a very large room. You come up to the top of the stairs. There are these Egyptian, mock Egyptian columns, something that you would have expected to find in a tomb. Holding up
they had
the
a
center.
gallery and they had a library.
Yes. The library is actually on the first floor. There are a couple of rooms actually, but the gallery itself really is wide open room within a series of file rooms where probably archives of scrolls and that sort of stuff are kept. Mm-hmm. And then a couple of rooms which you were told are exam rooms where they might examine more tricky specimens, mummies or pottery that was very fragile. Okay. So as you walk up, there by the stairs is one guard, and across the room is another, standing kind of more or less alert, or at least as soon as they see you coming upstairs, they are. You wander around the various glass cases. What are you looking for here?
Any of the symbols we've become familiar with, if they're on any of the items.
Let's have a spot hidden roll if you're walking about.
No.
30 out of a lot more. Beats a half.
So you're looking about, and the one thing that always draws your attention here are the mummies that are in these glass cases. Their desiccated skin visible beneath the bandages. The pottery is certainly interesting as well. Well, you walk up to a mummy and you're sort of standing there, kind of looking at it. You're particularly struck by its teeth, and you're just thinking how poorly preserved those are. When there's a reflection in the glass staring back at you, it's a man in a hat, a bit of a blurred face. You look over your shoulder instinctively. You see Joe across the room. What do? You feel chilled, you feel panicked, your hands sweat a bit.
Yeah. I'm getting angry at myself.
You light a cigarette, and you hear immediately the attendant speak. Oh, sir, I'm sorry. No smoking in here, please. Precious specimens. Instinctively just drop it on the ground and snuff it into the wood floor. What do you do with the trail toward Edward Gavigan continuing to be elusive.
Well, I mean, we weren't really here for that this time.
They're just killing time to not look suspicious and didn't find anything, so move on.
You look about. Nothing really jumps out at you at the moment, not beyond what you've sort of observed in the past. You make your way back downstairs and back out past young Virginia. She waves, blushes a bit as you smile at her, and you make your way back out and into the street. Where do you go? It's getting on toward afternoon after all of this.
To ride back to Soho?
Yeah, let's go back and find Empire spices.
Okay. Take a cab, train.
Whatever's cheaper.
Okay, train for sure.
And we need to learn the trains anyway.
Yep. You go to the train station. Wind up making your way across to Soho without event. You actually are dumped off at Oxford Circus and make your way sort of south, heading back toward the Blue Triangle Club.
Blue Pyramid? Yes.
Blue Pyramid. Blue Triangle, that's a Blue Triangle, that's pretty funny.
Well, drawn on a wall, it looks like a triangle.
Oh yeah, exactly. Bless your phone. Dogs are going to be starring in the video here.
We're looking for the spice store, though.
So, you round the corner onto that same street, and as you step out, sort of around the corner, and start heading down toward the club, you notice that there are a couple of men, sort of rough-looking, walking toward you. And the reason it stands out is, most foot traffic is sort of, even if they're heading with purpose, they're just kind of going. These guys are sort of walking with a fevered pitch, walking straight forward, looking real rough. Sleeves kind of rolled up. One of them actually has a bat.
Maybe we should cross the street.
Okay. I was going to stand spot, square up.
Okay, you start to square up, and Joe kind of starts walking across the street and sort of nudges you on, and you sort of disengage. As you do that, you notice that they change course as well, and they're headed your way. What do you do?
Go off to a corner and then prep.
You do?
I follow him around the corner.
So you dart kind of around the corner.
Uh-huh.
So running sort of down the alley, there's some kind of trash and whatever. You find an area where the alley widens. Apparently it's a shallower building, right? So you've got this kind of squarish area, and the alley caves forward. Give me a stealth roll, and let's see if they pick up on your plot.
I'm not very stealthy.
67 out of 88.
46 out of 45. I think I'll use that one luck point.
Okay, so you use a luck point, and that luck point is represented by your buddy Walt grabbing you by the shirt and flinging you around the corner, just as your assailants step into that same alley. So you will actually have a bonus die toward any action you would like to take. You'll definitely be taking them by surprise. You can hear them as they went this way. Hurry up, quickly! We've got to catch them. Running, splashing in these little puddles in the alleyway, and suddenly they erupt around the corner. The guy with the bat is first. He's got a real thick beard and big sailor's kind of
So get him by surprise with a bat, grab the bat, hit him in the chin with the base of it, and take it from him.
Okay, so you're going to reach out to try to grapple with that bat. Go ahead and give me an attack roll there. Blow and roll.
40 out of 89.
Okay, you reach out and grab the bat, and immediately you begin a test of strength as you kind of jerk. Go ahead and give me your attack roll, another brawling roll to try to drag him forward.
5.
All right. So yeah, you grab the bat, pull him forward a little, and then push backward. And with his forward momentum and your push, you jack him right in the jaw. Blood immediately starts to flow as his lip bursts open. Whoa! What the fuck? He says. You're now grappled though. He doesn't let go of the bat, but he's definitely a little disoriented. What do? So his two buddies kind of round the corner as well. One of them has brass knuckles on. and the other one you hear a knife.
I'm gonna pistol whip the nearest one right in the forehead.
Okay, so you're not gonna just blast his brains out. That's probably pretty good. So go ahead and give me your brawling roll as well.
40 out of 87.
40 out of 87. So
It's
you
1/2.
Yep. So you basically, well, not quite. You got it's regular.
I guess I used a box or something.
Yeah. So you grab your pistol and just bash him right in the head with it. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
It's got the Smith & Wesson stamp on his forehead.
Yeah. Let's say that's a D6.
Okay. Do I add the damage bonus?
No, that's a bullet. No, it's just you're just bad.
No, the damage
Oh,
bonus.
your damage bonus.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
You absolutely
Okay,
would.
so D6. Two.
Wow.
I rolled a 1 on a 6 and a 1 on a 4.
Probably for the best, though.
Well,
so
yeah, I don't want to
you
kill
get
him.
a blunt trauma. You bash him in the forehead, and he says something also along the lines of "What the fuck?" Oh! You smack him in the head. His buddy is the one with the knife, however, so that's going to be a problem. He stumbles backward, clearly disoriented for a moment. So the two of them basically are kind of, one grappled and one stumbling off the side of the alley. The other guy lunges forward at you. So as you bash your buddy, or his buddy, he clearly notices that you're armed with a gun and lunges forward as if he's saying, I gotta kill this guy, or hurt him.
So what can I do to defend or counter?
Good. So you can fight back, or you can act, or you can dodge. So one of the two.
Okay.
So if you're fighting back, basically you have the opportunity to counter his attack and potentially even do damage. If you dodge, then you're just going to avoid harm.
Okay. So would this be like a fighting kind of brawl?
Yes.
Okay. I think I'll fight back.
So you're going to fight
I'm
back.
better
Okay.
at that. I feel.
You what?
I said I feel I'm better at that.
Oh, I thought you said you fail. So he is going to succeed with a regular success. So you will need to beat a regular success.
How about a 3?
Holy crap.
which
The
means
dice are kind to you, man.
Yes.
Yes.
You're doing
So
well today.
he steps in to slash, clearly not meaning to actually kill you. It's as if he's maybe trying to give you a mark to remember.
Okay.
You
So I can kind of
sidestep.
tell he's holding back a little.
Yeah, you sidestep and spin around, literally catching him right in the face with the butt of your gun. Blood sprays out of his mouth, just like kind of a Rocky movie, right? And he kind of staggers against the wall and uses his shoulder to push himself back. Right about that time, his other companion has gained his footing. What are you doing? So you guys are struggling with this weapon.
Plant my foot on his gut and twist the bat away. If I can hurt him doing that,
Okay.
even better.
Okay. So he is clearly going to fight back. There's no sense in dodging. So let us make that roll.
I rolled a 3.
He did not. He rolled a 93. So clearly not sure of your tactic as you kind of pull forward, plant your foot right in the middle of his chest and twist the bat. It twists his arms around and you hear a satisfying pop as you dislocate his wrist and push him back into the wall of this alley. Go, mother!
And this is going to transition next turn into a full swing onto the ribs of whoever's closest.
Okay, you have retrieved the bat, so that was your action. So at this point, they're a bit demoralized, and so the guy with the dislocated wrist is there holding his wrist. His action is just to cope with that situation. His buddies, however, charge forward, one at each of you. You ought not to be putting your nose in where it don't belong, says one of them as he charges forward. So he is attacking you with the bat. Do you want to dodge, or do you want to
fight back? It's the home run derby on his ribs.
Okay, so home run derby. So give it that roll. Damn it! I need a dice cam. It's a 98.
58 out of 89.
So you succeed basically as you come running in. He thinks he's got it together. He's in full boxer stance, and you literally just
America's
lean
pastime.
into it and just go ahead and give me a D6 damage roll as you impact with him.
Oh my god, I think I killed the guy.
Oh jeez.
It's a 9 because the damage one is for melee.
Oh wow. Yeah, so you bash him right in the temple.
I was aiming for his ribs. I was going for the chest.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so sadly, as he comes in for his punch, you're mid-swing, and he comes in real low, like he's gonna uppercut, and where his ribs should be, his temple is, and you just crack, and there's a sudden absence of control over his muscles and his body as he just to the ground. Completely limp, twitching slightly. The camera shifts, of course, to you. So the other one's running at you full on. Are you going to fight back or are you going to dodge?
He's running at me full on?
Full on, he's going to give you
What's
a haymaker.
behind me? Like, is there a wall building something?
Yes, you're in an alleyway. So behind you is a brick wall.
My thought is to... I want to fight back by sort of sidestepping and throwing him into the wall.
Okay, so you're okay. That's fair. So you'll do like a grappling move.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Like if I can grab his arm.
Oh, that's a 28. Okay, so that's better. So
he's got a chance.
Yeah, he's got a fighting chance. So he had a good success.
49.
So you reach in with the attempt to grapple him, but you just hear this as his fist collides with your head, and he rings your bell. You feel your knees weaken slightly, and you will take 4 points of damage.
How does damage work? I don't remember.
So you have hit points.
Yeah, so I take it away from the hit points.
Yep.
And then that's it.
And then bad stuff happens when you run out and start taking damage.
Yeah, so it's similar to a Warhammer in a way, right? Like with the wounds, where it kind of ticks away, and then on the other side of 0, real bad stuff happens.
Okay.
So you're pretty roughed up. You can take a bit of a beating now. So you hear that the dial tone in your head as he just knocks the living snot out of you and sends you careening backward into the wall. And you hit you're still able to fight, right? But he definitely scored his blow, which flips the round. Dislocated guy is he's too messed up for the moment to stay engaged. What are your actions going to be? So you know he's either dead or he's asleep.
Yeah.
Hit
the guy that put him against the wall, like right across the back of his knees.
Okay. Yeah, and that way, as you turn around, you've got a shot at his back. You'll get a bonus die to hit him because he is frankly engaged with Jay.
30.
Okay. So you come in and just right in the back of the knees, and he just literally folds backwards as you would imagine.
Only 2 damage on that one.
You hit
mercifully,
him, which is great. You hit him exactly where you intend to. So right across the joints, and just send him flopping backwards, and are able to immediately just kind of stand over him and kind of dominate him.
I cover him with the. What about the guy who's
the guy with the wrist? So as you turn and look, seeing this, he turns and starts to run.
Okay.
Do you let him run? Do you chase him?
We got his friend.
Okay.
I covered the guy that's down with my pistol.
Okay, you do.
I'm not sensing the warm English welcome.
Is that what you say to him?
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, you. Hey, we don't want any more trouble.
What's with all the unfriendliness?
What do you mean? You apparently have made some pretty important people angry.
Like who?
I don't know his name.
Who told you to do this?
Pound Sterling is his name, he says, with kind of a sarcastic look on his face. We was drinking at the pub. Bloke came up, pointed you out, told us to tell you, teach you a lesson. Tell you to stop putting your nose in where it don't belong.
He didn't give you a name, he just gave you money.
No. Could hardly even see his face. With a hat on like a scarf, he said.
You normally just go accosting people just because somebody gives you a through.
Look, times is hard, alright? It's not like it is over in America, he says. Just let me go. I don't want any more trouble. I've got kids at home, he says.
Well, you better see to your friend then.
He looks over. What the? You kill him? Peter! He crawls over there, clearly unable to really stand after the blow to the knees. He's hurting still. He shakes his friend. Give me a D10 roll.
5. It's the bottom half.
Yeah, it's the bottom. So, he's dead. He's dead.
I check.
He's not all the way dead.
He's mostly dead.
He's bleeding out of his ear. And you notice that his one eye is just sort of looking off to the side. Now, that could have been genetic, but you don't know. He's got a little blood, and he's got a bit of a caved-in spot. He needs medical care right now.
Oh yeah, he needs a hospital right now.
He looks up at you. You've got to help us. You got to help! He starts screaming. What do you do?
Help pick the guy up.
Yeah.
You pick the wounded dude up?
Yeah.
He's a sack of potatoes. You pick him up by his arms and his legs kind of thing? Okay.
Whatever safe way there is to pick up a guy.
Well, such as his head literally just lolls back as you lift him up by the shoulders
Come
and
on,
the legs.
let's get him to somebody who can help.
Oh, fucking. He's cursing under his breath something about what a strange day, what an awful day, you know, just trying to make some coin. You drag him out of the alley, out into the street, and within just a couple seconds you can hear some whistles. There's an immediate reaction to the people out on the street, right? Oh, someone's out over here, police, police. And then there's the telltale whistle of the constables. And bicycle comes rolling up just like Monty Python. He drops the bicycle on the curb and comes running over. What has happened to this man? He says.
Well, there was a bit of a tussle and this guy got injured. We need to get him some medical attention as quick as
A
possible.
tussle? Who did this? Looks like more than a tussle. His head bashed in, he says. He's bleeding everywhere. He blows his whistle. It's a really loud, shrill whistle.
These two guys and one of their friends accosted us. We were defending ourselves.
Give me a fast talk roll.
45 out of...
He's going to oppose you with his own fast talk.
46.
And he's got a 56. So he's... Look, it's not true. We was just at the pub, and they was talking trash about his mum.
Is he still got the brass knuckles on his hand?
He does.
I just lift up his arm.
With a fantastic bit of perception and memory, you glance down and you grab his wrist and hold it up, and his hand's shaking as he tries to resist you. The constable looks. Ah, for God's sakes, Martin. Again! Those mob stories, they're for Americans. That's not the way we do it in London. Let's get him on a litter.
So there's a right way to do it in London.
So, within a few moments, there's the telltale, weird kind of hand-cranked siren sound of an ambulance coming. You don't know if he survives. He's loaded onto a litter, and out of respect for the constable in the situation, you remain here.
Well, it's the best chance he was going to get after that.
Yes. Martin heads off in the ambulance with his friend. Peter is nowhere to be seen with his dislocated wrist, Peter's the hurt guy, actually. I'm sorry. Yeah. The other guy you don't know by name. The constable, as the ambulance heads off, remains for the moment. How much information do you give him as to why you're down here? He obviously asks some probing questions.
We just tell him we heard that the Blue Pyramid nightclub was a great place to be.
He makes note.
And,
the Pyramid nightclub.
And
Americans.
Somebody took exception and paid these guys to... Whatever he said. What did the guy say? Stop poking our nose around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what I will tell you, Yank, pretty simple. Some of the locals around here aren't fans of your lot. I've got no qualms with you, of course, but I would just say that you might want to stay to your hotel, or make sure that you're with a larger group of people when you're down around these parts.
All right, I'll take note of that.
Thank you for the
The
warning.
Blue Pyramid can be, I won't say rough, but it's known that foreigners can have difficulties around these areas, let's say. It's the Egyptians. He kind of leans in.
Of course. Can we expect more than bats, knives, and brass knuckles?
Perhaps. Just mind your path, mind shadowy alleyways, he says, seemingly thinking that perhaps that's where it began. Seems to have missed that detail.
We'll do that.
So he takes your information, where you're staying, hotel room, all that sort of stuff. Still mid to late afternoon. You're a little roughed up. Your jaw's fucking sore.
It's tradition everywhere we go. We have encounters with law enforcement.
Yes, you do tend to get the attention of the local constabulary. What do you do?
Guess we go looking for the Spice Club again.
Okay, so you go about finding the Spice Club by asking around? Hey, where's the Spice Club? Are there Spice Girls at this point?
Guessing that would probably not be the best approach.
Yeah, maybe not.
But we can wander the streets and see if we can find Empire spices.
If it was actually relatively close to the Blue Pyramid.
Yeah, so you wander around.
She said it was close.
Yep, she did. She said it was within a block or so, she said. So you do, in fact, walk around, look at some local, there's a few local pubs. There's a china shop, like, handmade dishes type china. All kinds of interesting things like that. You find more than your share of actual bars. Stop in for a drink here and there, kind of looking around, and you do ultimately find Empire Spices, which is literally just around.
I can stop and get some ice for my jaw on the way. I'll do that.
Okay, so you stop in and grab a drink and get a couple cubes of ice in a bar rag. There's a brief exchange with the barkeep around, not trying to box an Irishman around here or something. He's an Irish guy. But yeah,
what do you think of it?
You do find Empire Spices.
Actually, and while we're out there at the pub we come across, ask if those 2 or 3 guys were in there recently.
Okay.
See if we can find the one they came from.
You go to just various pubs within sort of eye shot
that are on the way.
And actually, yeah, the second place you go, Joe, the Irish guy lets you keep the bar rag because you've now bled all over it. You got a little bit of blood coming from the crack of your mouth. Yeah, the second one you arrive, you describe some Peter and Martin and some other guy. And, yeah, I know him. They was in here just a bit ago. Why? They do something wrong again? He says.
Someone paid him to rough some people up.
No, this guy. He's quite the scrap of that one. Let me guess, it looks like Martin's work.
Yep.
You've got the telltale bruising of the brass knuckles showing up on your face. Feels like your jaw might be cracked. It's pretty bad. Yeah, they was in here talking to some business lot. I don't know. Seemed like it was a bit cold. He's a big burly dude. He's wearing he's got a vest on and his sleeves all rolled up. Kind of.
Their client wasn't normally one of your clients?
Nah, I've not seen that. Not seen him before. He walked in. They had themselves a chat. He's wearing a scarf, maybe grey hair, under a hat.
Didn't want to be seen.
As he pours your whiskey, which you've ordered to loosen his tongue. My advice to you down here in Soho: don't go making trouble.
Well, it's certainly not
There's
our
likely
intention.
more of the same waiting on you if you do. Looks like you certainly learned your lesson, he says.
I don't know. We gave as good as we got.
You say with a swollen ass jaw. And what do you do?
Finish the drink, thank him, and then go on to the spice, please.
You tip back your glass. At this point, after 2 pubs, 4 fingers of whiskey, and a beer, and a generous helping of ice, you're feeling okay.
Counteract the adrenaline from the fight.
Yes, your heart has slowed, your nerves are starting to level out, and you round the corner in the spice shop, so Empire Spices. Basically, there are 2 windows on the ground floor. It's a narrow shop, like many are these days, next to which is a thin alleyway, a narrow alleyway going between 2 buildings. The ground floor has 2 windows that look inside, sort of picture windows that you can see in. There's all kinds of strange stuff hanging in them. Little bundles of garlic and these wooden bins with these strange, exotic colored powders in them. If you didn't know better, you'd say it's a spell component shop from D&D. The front
D&D
door,
existed.
yeah, the front door itself is frosted and has the stylized logo for Empire Spices, and beneath it, in squiggly language that you don't recognize, some form of Arabic or something, you think. It does appear to be open, as indicated by the flipped over open sign. Beneath there, just above the door, hanging from a sort of wooden peak awning, is a wooden carved version. Looks like someone put a good amount of care into the logo on wood for Empire Spices. What do you do?
Well, might as well go in if they're open.
So you open the door, hear the chimes, these sort of rare kind of tinkling metal chimes. You step in. There is a woman behind the counter who peeks up at your entry. "Hello," she says. "Welcome. Please feel free to look around." You can smell this just crazy assortment of peppers and saffron and curries and just every possible spice in here kind of coming together, turmeric and all this in your nose at one time. It's a little overwhelming and almost intoxicating in some ways. There are these sort of raw powders and lump or whole corn, like pepper type stuff, in these bulk scoop bins where you can come and help yourself. She seems to be helping a man in his mid-40s buying some spices, it looks like. Hands over a few coins, that heavy sounding clink of British pound sterling.
Peruse the shelves while she's helping him.
Okay. You do. It is quite impressive, actually. You've had no reason to go to a spice shop quite like this. There are all manner of strange
No
things.
reason to go to one ever.
Things like ginseng and ginger root, and so that kind of bulk spices, right? Like you literally could consider it a spell casting shop. Within a few moments, the man grabs his bag and walks past, kind of nodding to you politely as he leaves. The chimes sound again, and you're alone in the room with this woman.
The dude didn't have a hat, a scarf, and gray hair, did he?
No. He did not have a hat, a scarf, and gray hair. No. What do you do? Just look around?
Yeah, I'm just looking around.
Okay. You get to a point where your looking around starts to become more and more conspicuous.
Okay.
In a few moments, she kind of walks over and, "Is there a kind of spice that I can help you find?" She smiles cordially.
Actually, are you Miss Zara Safik? Zara Safik?
Yes, I am. I am the proprietor. Welcome. How do you know me? Because I do not know you.
I heard your name from the Penhew Foundation. You used to work there.
Yes. A long time ago. Or at least it seems so, huh? Yes. Such a wonderful organization, the Penhew Foundation. Are you members? She says.
Yes, recently.
Oh, good. Always good to see Americans learning that there are things out there. Older things. She smiles. You get a real weird tingle when she says older things and looks at you. It's like she's looking into you and not at you, but it could just be your nerves.
In my own mind, the older things that I've killed.
Yeah, you're cataloging various monsters that you've seen dissolve before your eyes.
Your shop, for example. I've never seen a spice shop like this before.
Well, it has been quite a labor of love, but London is a big place. There are needs for exotic spices. Over time, I think people have lost the appreciation for herbs. I love this music.
But now it's making us wonder if something's about
yeah. It's like it's creating inflection at all the wrong moments.
Yeah.
This is certainly a more peaceful way to go about getting the spices than the country has gone about in the past.
You are right. You are very correct. And there is something here for everything. Do you have headaches?
I think he does right now.
Yeah, I could use something for
Oh, she says, and she reaches up, and her hand is very cold. You notice it's just not like corpse cold, but just cold. But it's kind of nice. She touches it with a motherly touch, and what happened to you? I can make you a salve.
That would be great.
A salve to treat that, she says. Say 50 pence.
Sure.
Much better than even your doctor could do, she says, walking over to behind the counter and starting to gather up some various things. She makes a very weird, smelly paste with these various herbs and dry herbs and some kind of leafy plant of some kind, as you watch her do it. So, you're here for business, Americans, she says.
Sort of, yes.
She's mortar and pestiling, whatever the verb is for that. Crunching, smushing.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't really make conversation beyond that. You listen and she kind of hums this tune, this very...
The business involves a bit of fun, too. We're here to look into the Blue Pyramid. Heard it's an interesting place.
I do love the Blue Pyramid. Such a wonderful venue. Many local Egyptians go there. Got to hear wonderful stories from around the world. There's obviously a lot of sort of Egypt fever going on at this time period. So just the word Egypt, no matter where you are, is like, ooh, wow, that's cool. Mummies and columns and whatever.
Thing to be involved in.
She says, I go there frequently. You might say I am a member. She smiles.
Do they allow non-members in?
Oh, no, not at all.
One of our friends raved about the place.
You can enroll as a member. It's reasonably easy.
Oh.
You have to be invited by, and her back is to you, of course. She has to be invited by an existing member and pay your fee, but we welcome all who have the funds to join.
Well, what sort of fee?
Oh, geez. How do you want to say? It's maybe £5 a year. Pretty expensive. £5 is a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. But we could probably make some arrangements for an American friend, she says.
Would you be willing to extend us an invitation, maybe?
Give me a charm roll. Let's see what she thinks of you.
I'm not charming.
I'll give it a go.
32. 18.
Ooh.
That's why I said I'm not charming.
Close.
I think I bumped your camera.
Yeah, it's alright. I think it's probably alright.
I'll take 7 points of luck to make it a success.
You're going to take 7 points of luck to make... Okay. So you start talking and tripping over yourself. And Walt, with his handsome, real American gruff Chuck Norris sort of self, steps in.
Well, I'll feign a need to stop for a moment.
Yeah. What do you say?
Just that we heard. I mean, everyone we've talked to has said great things about it. And we're only here for a short amount of time. We'd like to squeeze in as much stuff as we can.
Well, I think I can manage for a young American friend, she says. Again, she's looking way too purposefully at you. And you felt it. You didn't say anything, obviously, because you're talking, but you're feeling the same way. Mm-hmm. She stops and she's got her mortar and pestle and turns and says, an American friend on that note. It really, wow. Anyway, she finishes and turns and takes a tongue depressor and starts to, kind of calls you over and sits you down behind the counter. Give me a spot hidden roll with a penalty die while you're behind the counter.
I'm hoping she's not going to poison me.
Yeah. Murder.
99.
Wow. So she puts this stuff on your face right at first, and you're doing your detective thing where your eyes are starting to dart around behind the counter. You're on the other side of the counter. But then as soon as she puts the shit on your face, it stings so bad that you literally, you're like, oh, you're kind of tighten up and you lose your perceptiveness. But within a few seconds, it starts to numb completely. It's like at first burning and very uncomfortable, and then you feel nothing, almost like Novocaine. You're not numb to the point where you're drooling, but you feel no pain from your injury.
Kind of like,
no, don't touch, don't touch. You get it in your eye. Oh no, it's bad. Wash hands. And she gives you a towel and a little bowl.
I wash my hands.
She takes your money and then gives you the rest of the mixture in a little sort of like a tincture jar kind of thing. And it has the Empire Spice logo and on, kind of on a sticker, and she sort of writes what it is in whatever crazy handwriting she has, hands you the bottle.
Marvelous stuff.
Of course, I tell you, much better than doctors. Don't use too much. You can discolor skin. You don't want a green spot, do you?
No.
She pats you. Up you are, up, she
Yep.
says. And walks you on the other side of the counter.
I'll get my ass handed to me. I'll make sure to come here for help.
You say that?
Yeah.
She laughs and she says, yes, when you have hands on your ass. She says, so yes, I could perhaps arrange for you to visit the Blue Pyramid.
Oh, thank you. Very kind.
I will need your names, of course.
Yes.
Your name.
Joe Miller.
When would you like to visit? Tonight?
Tonight would be great. We have nothing else planned.
Good. Do you love good liquor? She said.
Who doesn't?
Undoubtedly.
Best in London. Best.
And I hear the music is phenomenal.
It is. It is wonderful. You will enjoy. Yes, so tonight I will put your name on the guest list.
Thank you.
Your dress is not good.
What would be good?
Hygiene, she says.
Okay.
You are a little disheveled. Most of your stuff, of course, back in the hotel, having just come to London and jumped right into this investigation. You haven't really fresh.
And gotten right into a fight.
Yes, and been tussling. Anyway, so you leave the scene and head back to the hotel. Now with some weird paste made out of God knows what.
Does it smell good at least?
No, it does not. It smells like dirt and rotten mushrooms. That really nasty, strong, like rotten portobello smell. But
most good medicine smells like shit.
You're on the guest list apparently for the Blue Pyramid. You have just had a seemingly innocuous encounter with Zara Safik. Mm-hmm. She did strike you as a little intense, but like an intense grandma.
As long as I don't die from her potion. I said as long as I don't die from her potion.
Yes. You return to the hotel. A couple of comments on your way in. You've gotten to the point now where the people there more or less know who you are, right? You come and go. They say hi, Walter, and hi, Joe. You walk up and the doorman comments, ooh, hey, something stinks. Oh, what happened to your face? Lad, did you get in a fight?
Oh, yeah, I ran into somebody's fist.
You never fight an Irishman. he says. You're looking at it, probably at the red marks or something. Maybe it's a token thing for Irishmen to brawl. You don't know. Certainly in the States, it's pretty common for them to be fighty. You make your way in through the lobby. You can smell the sort of wine and beer smell coming from, you know, in the pub area. Make your way up the lift and down the hallway. When you arrive at your door, the door is cracked open. You are there with the heavy brass key. You reach for the lock, and the door is already open.
Get the gun out.
You drop the key.
Huh?
You drop the key and
I'll pocket, yeah.
you put it in your coat pocket and draw your pistol.
I do the same.
Yeah.
Except I don't have a key to put away.
And drawing it as I go in, so I'm not drawing it in the hallway.
Right. Yeah. Ha! And leap through the door. So you draw discreetly as you're stepping in. The room is a shambles. It's one very large room that you've got, and it's sort of the two beds, and there's a little sitting area. It's the decor in here is very old. The floor is, you know, old wood and kind of plaster walls. But everything, your clothes are everywhere. Your files and things that you bring with you are strewn about everywhere. The one thing that obviously your notepad that you carry around, it's like a moleskin kind of thing, right? So you have that with you. But your liquor bottles are like tipped over and broken in some cases.
Which is uncalled for.
Yeah, you're just like, what the? Looking around. Give me a spot hidden roll.
21, 89.
92 out of 96.
You are just enraged, Joe, because Weathers has really gotten you hooked on that Irish stuff. And you find the broken bottle as you pick it up, and it just comes apart. Liquid spilled into the carpet and down to the floor.
Look what they did to the whiskey.
You notice Weathers' book is gone.
Oh no.
It was left on the table.
They got a spooky book.
I think I'm going to go get the manager, let him know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Go find the concierge or the manager or whatever works in this hotel.
You leave to go find the concierge.
Itemize the place and what else might be missing.
You do your best. So, interestingly, you had a money clip with probably about $50 US. It's still there.
Huh.
In a spot that was clearly rifled through. Your bullets are all gone.
Uh-oh.
You're like, I can buy more bullets.
I have like 2 mags on me.
Yeah. Like, no, they're not. I carry them in a backpack everywhere I go. I've got a 7.62 minigun. The extra pistol, gone. You got a shotgun, gone. Any weapons that you weren't explicitly carrying on your person. The ceremonial knife of Weathers, gone. Interestingly, though, the paintings still there.
Oh.
If you walk up and look, you notice something odd about the suitcase as you're approaching the sort of area where the painting should be. The sort of leather case that you had for it, that sort of tube is open. It's like they looked in there.
Didn't want none of that.
Yeah, maybe. Because it was dropped, it looks haphazardly.
Okay.
So you get downstairs very quickly. You go to the concierge desk, and obviously in a commotion, you're like, someone's broken into my room, because everybody talks like Cary Grant. What has happened? Someone's broken into your room. Is everything all right?
No, they've gone through all our stuff. It's a mess.
Oh heavens! Someone call a constable. Let's go. I'll go with you. You return to the room.
Yep.
So a few minutes after you're digging around, you can hear the sort of telltale thumping down the hallway of Joe and the concierge. Whoa, heavens, what a mess. Who would do such a thing? Did you leave your door unlocked? He says.
No, we're quite studious about that.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
This has never happened here before. I'm so sorry. Dreadfully sorry. Is it possible that you lost your key? And someone else?
I have the key.
You reach it and hold it up. Well, we've called for a constable. Everything will be fine. We'll get you a different room straight away and get this mess cleaned up for you as well. Did they take anything of any value?
The most important thing was a book that's missing.
A very old book. Yes, it belonged to our other friend who was killed recently.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Right. So, if I could, let me get my paper, and I'll make some notes on the things that are missing, and you can let the constable know, and of course, have a look out around for that as well. Mm-hmm. And we'll stop here with the robbery.
Wow.
With the robbery. Yeah. Cerebral hemorrhage.